Welcome to another deep dive, and today we're going to the land of Oz.
Oz.
Yeah, to the world of Wicked.
Uh-huh.
So we all know and love the musical Wicked, but we're going to actually take a look at the book, the Gregory Maguire novel from 1995,
Right.
and kind of see how those two things, how this iconic story sort of transformed from the page to the stage.
Yeah. And
I'm very curious.
it is really interesting, right, to see how
Yeah.
the musical, while it is inspired by the novel, it really takes a lot of liberties in terms of the plot and how the characters develop and even the tone.
Right.
Overall,
That's not a replica. It's like a reimagining.
it's a reimagining.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's talk about that a little. I mean, so the novel is, how would you describe the novel?
The novel is a very sprawling epic.
Okay.
It dives deep into the politics of Oz, which are very complex. And, we see the oppression of the animals.
Yeah.
And
Right.
we follow Elphaba's life from her birth to her death.
Okay, so it really is like an epic tale.
It is.
Yeah.
And the musical streamlines a lot of that. It really hones in on the friendship between Glinda and Elphaba.
Right.
It simplifies a lot of the political subplots and really focuses on
That makes sense. Yeah, for a Broadway audience, you want them to really be able to latch on to those characters.
Connect with the characters.
Yeah.
Feel invested in their journeys.
Right, and they probably don't want to sit there for 6 hours watching a...
Exactly. So it's much more character-driven,
Okay.
and one of the characters that goes through a really significant transformation is actually Fiyero, who's the love interest of Elphaba. And, in the novel, their romance is tragic and a little ambiguous.
Okay.
But in the musical, they give him a heroic arc and a much clearer love story and a happy ending.
Oh, wow.
With Elphaba, so it diverges quite a bit.
Okay, so there's a big shift.
A big shift.
From the somber tone of the book to the musical.
Yes.
So we've got, the storylines are streamlined, the romance gets a happy ending.
Right.
What about the characters themselves? Do they actually change?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's start with Elphaba.
Okay.
In the musical, she's still a complex figure, but she's a lot softer and more relatable than she is in the novel.
Okay.
They really highlight her yearning to be accepted and how she's always felt like an outsider. And there's even a song in the musical where she sings, "I'm not that girl," and it's all about how she feels invisible and she wants to connect.
So it makes her more sympathetic, especially considering she's supposed to be the wicked one.
Yes.
And how about Glinda?
Glinda's transformation is actually even more dramatic because, in the novel, she's very morally ambiguous.
Okay.
She's complicit in a lot of the corruption.
It's not all smiles and sparkles.
No, not at all.
Right.
But in the musical, she's practically made of smiles and sparkles.
Yeah.
They make her into this comedic and bubbly personality, and it's a stark contrast to Elphaba.
Right.
So not only does it, provide some comedic relief, it also highlights the themes of friendship and acceptance.
It seems like they've kind of totally revamped her personality for the musical.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, okay, wow.
But one of the biggest differences that you really notice between the novel and the musical is the tone overall.
Okay.
Maguire's novel is very dark and philosophical, and there's a lot of moral gray areas.
Oh, interesting.
It tackles, these big questions about good and evil, power and identity, and it really makes you think.
Yeah, it's like a very mature, kind of introspective look at Oz.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the musical takes a much lighter, more hopeful approach.
Okay.
It focuses on personal journeys and friendship and self-acceptance.
It's much more accessible.
It's much more accessible.
To a wider audience.
Absolutely.
And maybe more family-friendly.
Yes, much more so.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got the storylines changed, the characters have changed, the tone has changed.
Yes.
But, we also have to think about the fact that this is a musical.
Of course.
So what are some of the decisions that you think that the creators might have had to make?
Well, musical theater is very unique, right? It's not just about dialogue. You're telling a story through song and dance.
So they had to balance that out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And these changes that they made weren't just arbitrary.
Wow.
They had to, make it work on stage. So that means a clear narrative arc, a satisfying resolution, incorporate, these spectacular elements that make Broadway so special.
You can't have a 5-hour musical with all the intricacies of the novel.
You're right.
They had to streamline it.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically they took this dark, complex world And gave it a Broadway makeover.
Exactly.
And that's partly why it was such a phenomenon.
Yeah, they understood what makes a successful Broadway show.
Right.
And they had to appeal to a wide audience.
Yeah.
They walked that fine line between staying true to the source material and also creating something new.
And exciting.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm starting to really see, I'm really intrigued by the differences between the two and how Wicked has sort of captivated so many people.
It's really interesting, yeah.
So, listener, I'm curious, what stands out to you so far?
And, as we continue our deep dive, here's a question to think about. Would you rather live in that complex, morally gray world of the novel, or the more hopeful, spectacle-filled?
That is a tough question.
Yeah.
But before you decide, we've got a lot more to cover, so stay tuned.
Let's kind of go behind the scenes a little bit and unpack some of the creative decisions that really shaped Wicked for the stage.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, because, we talked about the plot of the novel being so complex.
Right.
And adapting that for Broadway
must
have been quite a challenge.
It was a massive undertaking. You can't have a 6-hour musical.
Right.
So they had to, streamline the story significantly. And they chose to really focus on that core relationship, that emotional relationship between Elphaba and Glinda.
Okay.
They really honed in on those big moments, those emotional moments that would resonate with an audience.
So they prioritized those emotional beats over the political complexities of the novel.
Precisely. And remember, musical theater is a very specific medium.
Right. It's not just dialogue. You've got to weave in songs and dance.
Yes. And those songs have to do more than just sound good.
Right.
They have to move the plot forward. They have to reveal something about the characters. They have to evoke emotion in the audience.
Or like mini stories within themselves.
Yeah, that's a great way to think about it.
Yeah.
And that's where Stephen Schwartz really shines, the composer. He created this incredible score.
Oh, yeah.
That perfectly captures the heart.
It's so iconic.
It is.
Yeah.
Think about Defying Gravity.
Oh, my gosh.
Right. When she belts out that anthem. As she's literally defying gravity.
Yeah.
It's not just a cool moment. It's a turning point in her character arc.
Yeah.
And then you have a song like Popular. Where, Glinda's trying to give Elphaba a makeover, teach her how to fit in. It's funny and lighthearted.
Right.
But it also reveals a lot about Glinda's insecurities.
Right.
Her desire to be liked.
Yeah.
So each one of those songs is carefully crafted to tell a very specific part of the story and to create that emotional impact. And then, of course, you have, the sheer visual spectacle of Broadway, which plays a huge role in its success. The costumes, the sets, the special effects.
It's like a feast for the senses.
It is. And all of that really adds to that sense of magic and wonder.
Yeah. And it must also enhance the storytelling, too.
Absolutely. If you think about Elphaba's transformation scene again, special effects are amazing, but it's also this really powerful visual metaphor for her inner transformation.
So it's like all of the elements, the music, the visuals, the story.
They all work together seamlessly.
And create this really unforgettable experience.
Exactly. And ultimately, all of those choices, big and small, were made with one goal in mind. To connect with the audience on an emotional level.
So they really wanted to create a show that would resonate with people.
They did, on multiple levels, and stay with them long after they left the theater. And they definitely succeeded. Wicked has become one of the most beloved musicals of all time, precisely because it speaks to those universal themes that everyone can relate to, like friendship, identity, and finding your voice.
Yeah, it really does. And I think that it's done a really great job of introducing musical theater.
It has.
To a whole new generation.
To a whole new generation.
And it all started with this book.
It all started with the book.
Yeah, it's amazing how that one book sparked this.
It's a massive phenomenon. But it's more than just an adaptation. The musical really took those core ideas and transformed them into something completely new that was really designed to work its magic on stage.
Right. So
it's a reminder that sometimes adaptation isn't about faithfully recreating the source material word for word. It's about capturing the essence of it and then reimagining it in a fresh and exciting way for a new medium.
And that's what Wicked did.
That's what Wicked did, and it continues to soar, inspiring audiences, reminding us of the power of friendship, the importance of self-acceptance, and the thrill of defying expectations.
Well, speaking of defying gravity, I think we should probably talk about the music.
Let's talk about the music.
A little bit more, because it really is, like Stephen Schwartz did such a great job.
He did.
With that score.
It's a masterpiece in itself.
Yeah.
It's not just, a collection of catchy tunes.
Right.
It's the heart and soul of this musical.
It really is. It tells a story. It reveals character.
It does.
And it really evokes those powerful emotions.
It does. Think about Elphaba's, first soaring notes.
Oh, yeah.
In defying gravity.
Right.
You can feel her determination, her defiance, her yearning for something more.
Yeah.
Music gives voice to her innermost thoughts and desires.
And then you've got Glinda, and her bubbly personality just shines through.
Yeah.
In Popular.
Popular, yeah.
And it's, it's very playful and charming.
Right.
But it also, hints at those insecurities.
Yes.
And that desire to be liked.
Exactly.
And then, you can't forget about For Good.
Oh, For Good.
I mean, talk about an emotional gut punch.
It gets you right in the feels.
It does.
Right there.
Yeah.
But it captures the essence of their friendship so beautifully.
Yeah.
It's a testament to the power of connection and how our relationships really shape who we are.
Yeah, it really is.
So these songs are more than just entertainment. They deepen our understanding of the characters, and they add so much to the emotional impact of the story. You know, it's like the music is woven into the fabric of the story, creating a really immersive and unforgettable experience. Stephen Schwartz really understood the power of music to tell a story and to connect with audiences.
He did.
On a very profound level.
Yeah, he really did. His score really elevates Wicked from just
absolutely
a great show to a true masterpiece.
A masterpiece.
Yeah.
And speaking of masterpieces, we can't forget about the visuals.
Oh, right.
The incredible visual spectacle of Wicked.
Yeah, the costumes, the sets.
The costumes, the sets, the special effects.
It's like stepping into a whole other world.
It's like stepping into another world where magic is real and anything is possible.
Yeah.
The creators of Wicked knew that the visual elements were just as important as the music in bringing this story to life.
Right, and they really used those elements to their full potential.
They did. Think about that image of Elphaba soaring above the stage during defying gravity. It's a visual representation of her defiance, her empowerment.
Oh, right.
Her refusal to be bound by the rule.
And the transformation scene.
Oh, yes. I mean,
it's
not just a cool special effect.
Right.
It's a visual metaphor for her transformation as a character. Her outer appearance reflects her inner turmoil and the changes that she's going through.
It's incredible how they were able to, weave that symbolism into the visuals. It's not just there for show. It's really adding a whole other layer.
It adds another layer of meaning to the experience. Wicked is truly a feast for the senses.
It is.
It's a testament to the creativity and the artistry of the entire production team.
Right, from the costume designers to the set designers.
Yes, everyone.
Sounds like everybody really poured their heart and soul into it.
They did, and that's what makes Wicked such a triumph.
Yeah.
It's a show that has been crafted with love and care, and it shows
really does.
In every single aspect of the production.
And all of that love and care has resonated.
It has.
With audiences worldwide. I mean, it's one of the most
absolutely
beloved and enduring musicals
of all time.
Of all time, yeah.
And it's a testament to the power of storytelling and the magic of Broadway.
Absolutely. It's really amazing how, Wicked works on so many different levels.
It does.
It's a spectacle.
Right.
It's a love story. But it's also, there's a lot of political commentary.
It is.
But at its core, it's really this exploration of friendship and identity.
It is. It's a story that just keeps revealing new layers.
Right.
The more you think about it.
Yeah.
And it challenges us to question,
Right.
Those narratives that we're so often presented with, who decides who's good and who's wicked.
Right. It really turns everything on its head.
It does.
Yeah.
It forces you to see things from a completely different perspective.
Yeah, to walk a mile in someone else's shoes.
Exactly.
Even if they're ruby slippers.
That's right.
Yeah.
And, it's a reminder that there's more than one side to every story.
Right.
And those labels that we use, good, bad, wicked, they can be so limiting.
Right.
And even harmful.
And it makes you realize how important it is to really challenge those labels.
Absolutely.
And to look beyond the surface.
Yes.
And see the person.
The individual.
Yeah, the individual underneath.